Hey guys, so today I'm doing a response to the third part of Ash Hardell's quote-unquote body talks, aka the videos where she talks about her quote-unquote dysphoria. This is gonna be one of the worst series of videos I've responded to. It's just so bad, and it's genuinely insulting to everyone, basically. It's insulting everyone's intelligence, it's insulting to people who actually do suffer from gender dysphoria. It's just insulting all around, so let's get into the video.
Hey guys, welcome to another Body Talks, the series where I strip down and talk openly and honestly about my being, my body, this vessel that I go through life in. These talks are always shot naked, which is fun because then I only have to focus on picking out a cute hat and not a cute outfit, which I like a lot.
Was that supposed to be some kind of a joke? If so, it wasn't funny. But the fact that you were shooting yourself naked, tell me how dysphoric again? I mean, most trans people are just disgusted to look at themselves naked if they haven't had any surgery or anything.
Today's subject is body hair, specifically leg hair, and why I do not shave my legs.
Okay, so let's clarify things first. I could understand having some sort of dysphoria about body hair just because it's true that men and women do have different levels of body hair, but not shaving your legs as a woman is not a sign that you are trans. It's not a sign that you have dysphoria. Plenty of women do not shave their legs. This kind of reminds me of the leg shaving challenge, the feminist leg shaving challenge. It was like week 1 of that challenge. But anyway, it's just kind of pointless because yes, there's a societal pressure on a lot of women to shave their legs. But it's not so harsh that they all have to absolutely follow it. There are plenty of women who don't shave their legs, and most people are perfectly okay with that. And if somebody's making a big deal out of that, then they're not worth your time. But none of that has to do with being trans. I just hate how Ash, in every single one of her videos, she conflates gender with gender roles. Gender does not equal gender roles. Being transgender is not about gender roles.
It's not super important. The fact that I don't shave my legs isn't groundbreaking or brave, but it is kind of different, I think. And sometimes navigating that difference is interesting and complicated. Not really that complicated, but like a little, so I'm gonna talk about it.
How's it different from literally any other woman? It's not that different, that's just a tiny little thing. And a lot of women don't even have that much hair on their legs, so how is that complicated at all? What is so drastically different about not shaving your legs? I don't get her reasoning here.
It also took me a really long time to ultimately decide that I wasn't going to shave my legs, even though it's kind of what I wanted to do for a while. I just felt too weird and too gross and like I was breaking rules I wasn't supposed to break. So here's my leg hair story.
That's probably describes the experience of every single woman who has chosen not to shave her legs.
When I was a child, my parents had a lot of au pairs to watch their children. We ended up having au pairs for 5 years of my kid life. 2 from Poland and 1 from Peru. 2 of them stayed for 2 years each. The middle au pair, the second one we ever got, was named Tola. She was from Poland. She was great. I loved Tola.
This is kind of boring, Ash. Can you get to the point?
And if I'm remembering correctly, we had Tola when I was in 5th or 6th grade. And that was about the time that my friend group started experimenting with shaving their legs. It was like a switch that flipped in the 6th grade overnight. One of my friends was like, I have dark leg hair and it's starting to come in, so I'm gonna shave my legs. And then all my other friends were like, we're gonna shave our legs too, because that's just what my friends did.
That probably describes the experience of every single group of 5th or 6th grade girls. That's what puberty is. That doesn't indicate that you're trans, just it's a logical fallacy here. Just because a lot of people of one group do a certain thing does not mean that doing that certain thing makes you a member of that group. Why do you not understand this, Ash?
All my friends got bras, like, in the same week. All my friends got their period in the same week, which is impressive because you can't control that.
Actually, period synchronization is a thing. Women do tend to synchronize their period. It's like there's a certain biological or evolutionary reason to it. So that could actually happen, even with girls who are just starting. I don't know what I'm rambling on about. It's just, you're wrong about that too, Ash.
And I was always late to the party. I had a flat chest forever, which I'm envious of now. Wish my boobs never would have come in.
Again, why is this evidence that you're trans, Ash? Just because trans guys hate having boobs doesn't mean that you feeling insecure about having boobs makes you trans, Ash. Stop this, okay?
It took me 1 trillion years to get my period. Also, envious of that. Wish I didn't have my period now.
Yeah, pretty much every woman would say that. No woman likes having her period. It's true that trans guys can get overly dysphoric about having their period for obvious reasons, but pretty much every woman dislikes having her period. That is not evidence of you being trans, Ash.
Young people, don't be in such a rush to grow up. I mean, I get it. You feel left out. You feel behind, so I don't want to tell you how you should and shouldn't feel. But you'll probably look back and be like, it was great when I was pre-puberty. Anyway, so I'm telling you this because all my friends started shaving their legs, and even though I didn't want to shave my legs because I barely had any leg hair, also that seemed like a lot of work. Also, I didn't want to talk to my parents about it because, I don't know, anything about my body or growing up was just a weird conversation to me to have with my parents, which is sad. Now I talk about anything with my parents.
That applies for literally everyone else. Like, these SJWs always try to pathologize completely normal experiences. Just because you have a normal, somewhat awkward or uncomfortable experience does not make you trans. It does not mean you have a medical condition. Okay? I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm explaining this to a child. I'm sure a 3-year-old could reason about this better than you could, Ash. And honestly, Ash, you seem like a nice person, which makes it even harder that you're spewing this nonsense, because I know you're a good person.
So I never asked my parents how one goes about shaving their legs. No one ever taught me, and YouTube didn't exist then because this was pre-2006. So I just guessed. I figured it couldn't be that hard. You grab a razor and you just pull, right? Also, didn't have a razor because I didn't have money or permission to walk to a store. I was a child. So I stole one from Tola. But Tola bought the disposable Bic razors, and I think that she had used this particular razor that I stole for a while, so it was kind of dull. But, like, I didn't know. I didn't know razors could be dull, or I don't know. I just didn't know anything. So I grabbed this razor, and I started shaving my legs, but none of the hair was coming off because it was super dull. So I pressed really hard, trigger warning, the next 15 seconds of this video will be graphic and gross, and my skin came off my leg in just one giant peel, kind of like if you were peeling a carrot, and it just like...
That is genuinely kind of gross. I mean, I'm not that squeamish, but I could see how somebody who is more squeamish would be grossed out by that, so that actually did deserve a legitimate trigger warning. Congratulations, Ash.
Ow. Then I got blood all over the bathtub, and I had a really gnarly scar on my leg, and I, like, ruined Tola's razor. So even though I tried to hide this whole ordeal and clean everything up, my parents eventually found out, and they yelled at me. And they told me that that was super stupid, and I'm way too young to start shaving my legs. But I still had to shave my legs in secret because all my friends were shaving their legs, and I couldn't be the only one.
Again, why are you talking about this, Ash? This is, like, completely normal adolescent girl experiences. Okay, let me contrast your quote-unquote dysphoric experiences with some of mine when I was around the same age. At first I was fine because I was like 9 and I was getting acne and a little bit of body hair, and I didn't really care, but then puberty really hit and I started growing breasts and having my period, and I felt awful. It was legitimately foreign to me. I mean, I understand that every kid, sees puberty as really kind of weird, but it wasn't just like, oh, this is weird, oh, this is kind of uncomfortable. It was like, no, this is really, really uncomfortable, and I just hate this. And it came to a point where I couldn't stand to look at myself, and even though I wasn't fully aware of what was going on or why I was feeling like this, at that point, I kind of started to realize that I was trans because I just absolutely felt just horrid with the female body and really envious that the kids around my age were starting to get male secondary sex characteristics. And even after the major effects of puberty stopped, I remember thinking to myself, I hope I will be done with puberty now. I hope that was all. And I remember at one point we were in sex ed class or something, and my teacher said when puberty usually stops, and for females it's around 14 or 15. I remember I was 14 at the time, so I just kind of I almost internally sighed to myself, oh, thank goodness that this is over. And looking back at puberty, I would always think, oh, puberty hit me especially hard, even though if I didn't really know why. I thought, and I tried to reason that I wasn't trans by saying, I just had a particularly hard time with puberty. That was my experience, Ash. And your experience was secretly shaving your legs because all your friends were doing it, and that is considered by any means comparable to what happened to me, Ash. See, this is the thing that makes me really, really mad at you, Ash. It really does. And if you're watching this video, like I said, please look at or consider my open letter to you, because this goes back to this. I want to like you, Ash. I want to see you as a nice person, but what you are doing is really awful, reprehensible behavior. The fact that, you can just trivialize the experiences of every single trans person who has gone through puberty and it's been a really, really hard time for them. The fact that you can do that, Ash, is just mind-blowing to me. And you may have good intentions, but what you're doing certainly isn't good.
Well, that was my secret for a while. Mark and Janine, you couldn't control me. I shaved my legs on the down low. You probably always knew. So for a long time, shaving my legs was just associated with embarrassment and pain and shame and secrecy.
So I'm kind of starting to understand why you don't like shaving your legs, Ash. As a psychology nerd, it seems like you just kind of associated shaving your legs with what you said, embarrassment and pain and shame and secrecy. And so that's why you don't like shaving your legs. Not because of any dysphoria, because it got associated with that, because that's operant conditioning. I'm not sure what the particular term of that type of operant conditioning is, negative reinforcement, or did I get that wrong? No, aversion or something, whatever. It's not because of actual dysphoria. Stop conflating the fact that you were embarrassed about shaving your legs in middle school with actual dysphoria, with an actual medical condition. Stop doing this, Ash.
But I did it for years and years and years, and I went through all of that even though I didn't really want to shave my legs. Fast forward to 2011 or 2012, I believe. I was a sophomore in college, and I was selected to be on the Youth Advisory Council for the Trevor Project. They picked 15 youth from around the country, and they flew us all out to West Hollywood for one weekend. And at that youth summit, I met an individual named Keegan. Keegan had a huge influence on me. I won't lie, I can't remember what pronouns they were going by then, and I'm not sure what pronouns they're going by now, so I'm going to play it safe and say they.
What pronouns they were going by then and what pronouns they're going by now. Why would that change the pronouns? And I'm just gonna assume this person is a girl, since so many of the non-binary people are just women who don't actually have any dysphoria. But I may be wrong. Continue on, Ash.
But I do remember them saying they were AFAB and didn't completely identify strictly with either of the binary.
Called it. It's a girl.
Genders. And they had a modest amount of leg hair, and they rocked it really well. It looked good.
Who thinks that leg hair looks good on people? This is weird. Even men who have super hairy legs, they don't look good. I mean, some women who have shaved legs look good, but nobody looks good with leg hair. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of women want to shave their legs, because leg hair doesn't really look attractive on either men or women, at least in my opinion. And isn't it very telling that she didn't think about not shaving her legs and that being evidence of her dysphoria until she met another person who identified as non-binary at a presumably SJW LGBT event, instead of, actually having some kind of internal struggle that wasn't influenced by anything?
We were going around the room and sharing a little about our gender and gender expression, and they spoke a bit about their leg hair, and they said that they loved their leg hair, and when they looked down at their legs and saw their leg hair, They felt proud. It felt good. It was one of the first times I'd ever heard an AFAB person not be ashamed of their leg hair.
Well, then you need to go out and meet more women, Ash. There are plenty of women, including tomboyish women, who don't want to shave their legs. It's more of a normal thing than you're making it out to be. You're making it out to be like a trans thing, which is really, really annoying. It is not a trans thing in the slightest.
Or have some leg hair and say, oh, I need to shave, or gotta shave this, or ew, gross, don't look at my legs, I'm prickly. The only other time I'd heard an AFAB person say this was if they were a trans guy, but Keegan wasn't a trans guy at the time. I don't know how they identify now.
What is with this assumption that people just change genders all the time, Ash? I mean, by that logic, wouldn't you have to call your wife all these different genders all the time? And also, like I said before, there are plenty of women who don't want to shave their legs, not just trans guys.
And it honestly just blew my mind. I truly didn't understand that was a possibility. I thought only guys could be proud of leg hair.
But guys are proud of their leg hair. I mean, lots of guys have butt hair too. Do you think they're proud of that? Like, that's just something that guys just have, that they just deal with. It's just a masculine characteristic. It's not something they would really care about one way or the other. Just like a girl wouldn't care about having a feminine shaped figure.
Or not bothered by leg hair. And Keegan just exuded this confidence that was so, like, platonically attractive.
Platonically attractive. This is like, we're reaching Milo Stewart territory here. I mean, seriously. Oh my god.
I wasn't, like, attracted to them, but I was like, they look good. And their leg hair is a part of that. I also probably really identified with Keegan and their hair because they weren't strictly binary, and I, like, felt a connection to that too, so there was a lot that I connected with. The college years following the Trevor Youth Summit, I started dipping my toes into the land of not shaving my legs. I'd try to find excuses to not shave, so for example, like in the winter, I'd be like, well, it's winter, I wear jeans, it's fine. Or if I didn't shave my legs, I'd blame it on, being lazy, or that's so much work, I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
See, Ash, plenty of women don't shave their legs, like, for the reasons that you listed. What's the big deal? Why are you trying to make a big deal out of something that's so small?
But I didn't fully commit to not shaving my legs for a few reasons. One, my friends would say weird things. They weren't super mean or anything, and I know they meant well, but they would make a point of pointing out my leg hair and making me feel a little different, and they would poke teasing friend fun at me. It just made me feel, I don't know. And I was in a relationship with a person who liked women who didn't have a lot of body hair, and I wanted to make them happy. I wanted them to find me attractive. Then I started dating Grace, and Grace is so cool. She listens to everything I have to say with a totally open mind. She's never like, huh? Grace really loves me. It's so cool.
And I'm actually genuinely happy that Grace really loves you, Ash. I'm glad that you're happy in your relationship. But one piece of advice for your relationship: Grace, if you're watching this, please try and lead your wife out of this nonsense. It's really not benefiting anyone. In fact, it's hurting a lot of people.
I can't tell you how cool it is, guys, to find a person who really loves you for you. Because when you really love a person for that person, you genuinely do think they're beautiful no matter what. So with Grace, I felt like I could express more authentically, and I kind of stopped shaving my legs almost entirely. But I'd still shave for special occasions like fancy date night or whatever.
That makes sense, Ash, that you would occasionally shave your legs if you cared about your looks. Why try to make this being about being trans? It has nothing to do with gender at all.
Until one day I had the realization that no part of me was shaving for myself. No part of me was shaving because I wanted to. I don't really like the feeling of smooth legs. It feels slippery to me and weird. I know some people shave their legs and put on shorts or a skirt and say, damn, I look good. I don't. And it clicked for me that the only reason I was shaving my legs was for the outside world, to make them happy.
I'm glad you came to that realization, Ash, but I think there are other realizations you could come to under those lines. For example, you're putting on all of these crazy labels and slapping all these identities, and I really doubt that you're doing those things for yourself. I really doubt that those would help clarify anything, since they're all so confusing. I think you're doing it for other people. I think you're doing it because then you get to feel special. And honestly, people do stuff for society all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. There are definitely bad things that people do for society, but putting putting on clothes, for one thing. I mean, I guess you could argue it protects you from the weather, but mostly putting on clothes is to appear decent in public. I could talk about a billion other things. Women putting on makeup so that they look a little better. Guys putting on deodorant or even cologne or something so they smell better. Things like that. Like, just because you're doing something for society, not for yourself, doesn't necessarily make it bad. In some cases, it definitely can be bad, and I'm glad you came to the realization that you were just doing it for society, but I think you could apply that also to all the labels for your gender, sexuality you've been slapping on lately.
Because that was the norm. I was humoring society. I was feeling peer pressure from everyone else. Having leg hair is my intrinsic, natural desire.
Ash always talks about this in her body talks videos, and it's something that really gets under my skin. She says that, like, it's the way she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be skinny and not have big boobs. She's supposed to have short hair. She's supposed to keep her leg hair growing out. No, you're not supposed to do any of those things. You choose to do those things. And that's the thing, Ash. She always compares her life decisions, which are just tomboyish ways of gender expression for women, to decisions about transitioning and being trans, which are huge decisions and not little decisions like the ones that she makes. I just hate this. It really, really gets under my skin. And I don't know if I'm being irrational about it, but it really does.
And I was compromising that to fit in and make everyone else feel comfortable. And that is not what I'm about. You guys know me. I think everyone should wear the clothes they feel the most themselves in. I think people should style their hair in ways that make them feel comfortable. As long as you are safe and appropriate and hygienic, fucking, like, look however the fuck you want.
Yeah, everybody thinks that, Ash. Why are you acting like this is some revolutionary idea? It isn't. Yeah, of course, everybody should be free to express themselves the way they want. That has nothing to do with gender. That has nothing to do with being trans. Stop conflating things. Stop it.
And I realized I wasn't doing that. And ultimately I realized I was feeding into a bunch of bullshit. So I said, screw this. I'm done shaving my legs. Because I don't want to be controlled by, the man.
Because in this life, you can't win. Yeah, you can try. But in the end, you're just going to lose big time because the world is run by the man.
I'm glad at least that you said the man and not the patriarchy.
And this sounds so much more dramatic than the whole thing really went down. It wasn't like that big of a deal. I wasn't like, now I shan't shave my legs anymore. I'm so brave. Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was way more chill. I was like, I'm doing this for everyone else. Well, I don't like that. I think I'll stop.
So she has a part 2 to this. I'm not going to respond to it because it's not really that interesting. It's just like her showing her legs and say that, like, oh, it's so silly of me, I didn't show you guys my legs. And so she shows her legs, and there's not a lot of leg hair, like very little. You can't really see it when she shows them. So I don't know what her point was. Like, I understand why she wouldn't want to shave her legs then, because it doesn't really change the look of her legs. So to conclude, Ash, stop conflating these trivial little things with gender dysphoria, please. This Body Talk series is awful. If you wanted to talk just about body image in general, that would be fine. I would have no issue with that. But instead, you're trying to imply that you're trans or a third gender because of this, and that is the part that annoyed me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.
Feel the funk blast!